Donald Trump's inauguration as the new president of United States has evoked major interest in India also. Traditionally, India and the US are not known to share very warm relations. But of course, of late, the relationship between India and the US are becoming friendlier. Media, then diplomatic experts and political analysts nowadays share the view that Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump share a very warm personal relationship. They also hope that the close personal ties between Mr. Modi and Mr. Trump will translate into a better US India relationship. But at the same time, the hope is tempered with reality also. The relationship between two countries is not like the emotional friendship between two individuals. Countries share only interests, there is no emotional tie. What are the areas where the US and India share interests? We need to know about that to hope. I feel one of the area where India and the US share interests is fight against terrorism. That is fight against radical Islam. Then China or the the wolf warrior diplomacy. Then the strong arm tactics of China are an area where India and the US share apprehensions. Then, when it comes to trade, US has got their own interests and India has got their own. So this is an area where there may be difference in opinion between the two countries. Let's go into the details of the emerging situation. Welcome to Insights. I am Hari Kumar. Just after the inauguration of President Trump, one of the first meetings of the new administration on the diplomatic front will be an informal Quads meeting that is going to be held in Washington today, that is 21st of January. India's Foreign Minister Jaishankar is there, then Foreign Ministers of Japan and Australia are there. Then the incumbent US Secretary, Foreign Secretary or Secretary of State will be participating in the meeting. So now you might have realized the level of importance the US gives on South Asia, especially on China front. Meanwhile, media in India speculate that the US is going to demand greater India participation in the activities of Quad. Naval exercise of Quad is likely to be held in perhaps twice in a year. Sometimes the major naval activities could be seen near Taiwan. So there are many areas where the US wants India to get more active, more involved. We don't know how Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to respond to such demands of the US. But I think overall it seems that India will have to yield to the demands of the US on defense front. Because India is always being overshadowed by China. And China, is following a policy of wolf warrior diplomacy. Then, the salami slicing policy. They try to browbeat every neighboring country. So you cannot strike a very friendly relationship with China. It's true that the Doklam standoff between India and China has been solved. But at the same time, China has now raised another threat. China is building the world's biggest dam across Brahmaputra River in Tibet, which is going to threaten the ecosystem of Himalayas, and that is going to pose a direct threat to northeastern states of India also, especially Arunachal Pradesh. So I think India will not dismiss any demand for more participation in Quad activities from the US. And I think in the coming days, India will have to flex its muscles more. Then let's think about other areas of cooperation in the defense. I don't think India will be able to sever ties with Russia very soon and depend solely on the United States. That's not going to happen. Especially the bitter experience of India in getting a jet aircraft engine from GE. I will always discourage India to strengthen or go deeper, exploring India-US relationships on the defense front. India, there is a well entrenched belief. That is not belief, it is based on realities and the attitude of the US towards India in transferring technology. I think all those previous experiences are going to put a restraint to India, even if Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants a stronger relationship with the US on the defense front. So India is going to be very cautious even as they extend cooperation to many areas. Then I think when it comes to investment and when it comes to trade, President Donald Trump had even warned earlier that he is going to slap more tariffs on imports from India and China. He even once called India the king of tariffs. He had warned that he is going to slap 100% more taxes on imports from China and 60% more taxes on imports from India. I think, it's not I think, the reality is in the India-US trade, India has got a surplus, and that to a surplus of around 40 billion US dollar. I'm sure that President Donald Trump will negotiate hard to level the gap, and he is going to ask India to remove tariffs on many items from the United States. So that is going to be there. But at the same time, there is a belief in the US that US is investing hugely in India, but at the same time, the US is not getting anything in return. I think there India needs to do their PR work, uh, because the reality is different. The reality is that 160 Indian companies have invested in the United States, and statistics say that Indian investment in the United States is around three-fourths of the US investment in India. Of course, the US investment is a bit more, but Indian investment is not that bad also. I think India needs to bring this in discussions. India needs to let the United States know that it's the narratives that US is not getting anything in return from India is wrong. Actually, I have read statistics that say Indian investment in the US has created more than 500,000 jobs. So, India is not such a bad investor. India has invested hugely, and of late, Indian investors like Adani Group has promised to invest much more in the United States in the coming days. So, I think India needs to correct the narratives. So, I think generally, when it comes to other areas like, the US administration will have people of Indian origin or Hindus, like Kashi Patel, the proposed director of FBI. Then you got the intelligence head, Tulsi Gabbard. So you got a large number of people who are sympathetic to Hindu interests or India's interests in the US administration now. India actually needs to do their homework very well, uh, use the resources in the US to the advantage of India, do some hard negotiations, do some lobbying and PR work. Those are areas where India is bad. India's lobbying capabilities, then India's public relations capabilities, then India's ability to influence media are bad. I think Narendra Modi government needs to work on those areas. And US is a country where PR, lobbying, then media, publicity all matters. So I think Modi needs to work on that front. But at the same time, I think these are two biggest democracies in the world, and the US cannot just ignore India. It's also in the interest of India that the Indian Ocean doesn't becomes the cradle of China. So I think it is in the interest of the US and India that both countries cooperated. US need to remove the roadblocks in ensuring closer cooperation between India and the US on defense front. I think that area US will have to take the initiative. They have to prove India that US really means business on the defense front. And things like denying certain technology to India or delaying the sale of F404 engines by GE are not going to work. India is a country which has got a very robust space program, and India doesn't need even the help of the US on that front. And India, if you deny certain technology to India, that means that India is going to double down their efforts on that front. So I think US should also become practical and realistic. They should realize that such a big market they cannot just turn a blind eye, and they will have to take into account the interests of around 1,500 million Indians. Let's hope the US will be more realistic, and let's also hope that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will do some hard bargaining, and he will uh, correct the previous mistakes. Let's hope for a stronger India US ties. Meet you with another topic next time. Till then, goodbye.